Oh, I forgot my intro. And now, the
Yes.
time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for. It's the MTMV main card with your man, The Voice. And as you can see, I'm rusty. It's been a couple weeks. I didn't know what to
Yes.
say, where to say anything. Yeah, that I don't believe that's indicative of how the show's going to be. I believe it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I know that my verbal sparring partner is just chomping at the bit. He already believes that he did something, but it was me. I'm the one that did it, and
I'm
I know
feeling
I
top
did.
tier today. I ain't say nothing.
You,
That's your
you didn't say nothing. Hold on. Lean back in your chair. Fist pump. Yes.
listen,
Twice. You didn't
listen.
say anything.
Let me give you the proper introduction. Because one of us has to be professional today. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, this is the man, the myth, the legend, the intro butcher, the voice. How you feeling today, sir? I've been waiting for that opportunity for weeks.
Ooh, you know what? I'm feeling really, really good because I like talking about fights. And part of the reason I like talking about fights is that I don't mind some smoke every once in a while. And all the way from the land down under, supposedly the bottom of the map, Florida. I smell the winds of smoke, and it's not coming from anything that was destroyed by the hurricane. It's coming from the human hurricane, Willdris
It's
Ruffin.
you're definitely right, and it's got a Philadelphia Phillies hat on because my squad is going to the playoffs this year also.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
I'm feeling real good. I'm feeling professional. I'm not feeling like I'm about to butcher any names. You know what I mean? I feel like you did that for the both of us with that amazing intro. But you know what? You're usually like 95% on. You know what I mean? So we'll just drop it down to 90%. You still got an A. But I'm
Okay,
I'm
okay.
excited this week. We got some great things to talk about. Definitely want to start the show. Of course, sending condolences actually to the family and friends of Japanese wrestling legend and combat sports legend Kanji Antonio Inoki, who passed on October 1st at the age of 79 from complications related to a rare disease. Now, if you're not familiar, I'm not sure how you're not. Antonio is a Hall of Famer and a legend who is the founder of New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's a pioneer promoter outside of WWE. He's also squared off. Probably like you can say he's probably the original Floyd Mayweather, which we'll get into in a second. Having faced off in cross promotional bouts with both Muhammad Ali and Ric Flair. In amazing matches that have been talked about. He's also a karate style creator and a Japanese politician. Enoki was a 12-time professional wrestling world champion who actually began wrestling at the age of 17. He's notable for being the first IWGP heavyweight champion and the first Asian WWF champion, even though it wasn't a reign that was officially recognized by WWE. Voice, I know you're not a fan of professional wrestling, but it's impossible not to know anything about Antonio Inoki. Give us your thoughts on his passing and his legacy.
I'm going to not be myself and contradict, or I should say, clarify something that you said. I'm just going to talk about the man who is Antonio Inoki. No, I am going to say something. Yes, if you are a fan of any kind of combat sport, then yes, you obviously should know Antonio Inoki. The mixed rules match that he had with Muhammad Ali is what most people consider as being the first MMA match,
Mhm.
because um you had Inoki who had his judo, had his strong style wrestling, versus Ali, who was a boxer. So I mean, literally, you had a mixing of the martial arts, and that's what those outside of the wrestling bubble know him for and know him as is the person who had that mixed rules match with Ali. I didn't know until he passed that he founded New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is one of my favorite wrestling promotions to watch as I got a little bit older. So it just, those kind of things are excellent. I didn't know that he was, you said 17-time world champion?
12-time world
12-time
champion.
world champion. That just means they decided to promote him. All right. So anyway, because I believe there have been a number of boxers who probably held the belt too, although it wasn't not sanctioned, but not recognized by the WWE. Anyway, I digress.
No, that's incorrect. I'm not gonna let you slander.
Go ahead.
Professional wrestling, okay?
So what boxer has held the belt, or what did what's his name, the guy with the crazy hair, Dennis Rodman? Did Dennis Rodman
did not hold
the belt? Okay,
no sir.
Okay.
Now he's been in the match, much like your GOAT Floyd Mayweather.
Who was Floyd the champion, the world champion?
Floyd was never the world champion. Floyd was in a match against the
What
Big
about Tyson
Show.
Fury? I know he's been
Tyson Fury has never been
associated.
WWE champion either.
Okay,
but he has switched over and come. So it's amazing because all of your GOATs and your most celebrated people are coming over to the sport that you seem to hate the most.
It's not a sport.
Listen, sir, it's a sport. Now,
it's not a sport.
I don't know many people know this. I actually interned with NXT, which is WWE's developmental league during my master's degree program at Full Sail. I have a huge respect for them because the bumps and the training that they do is unparalleled. I'm not gonna let you continue.
You know what? I take that back. You're right. It is a sport. There are many Olympic sports that are like it. Synchronized swimming, ice skating. Those are things that are choreographed, and gymnastics. All of those things are choreographed and are considered sports. So I retract my statement.
I feel like you're trying to get a gold medal because you ice skating uphill right now, but it's all good. Now, much like Antonio Enoki, who competed in what we call cross-promotional matches, the Voyze's GOAT, Floyd Mayweather, continues to up his record, I guess we can say, as he recently had a fight with Mikuru Asakura this past weekend. I gotta ask, Voyze, because you're in the know, and you know this is actual professional boxing that we're speaking
of. No, it's an exhibition bout. It's not professional.
So
it's much like pro wrestling. They should call it exhibitional wrestling.
Okay. So you butchered the intro and then you just want to just slander my stuff. It's all good. So Voyze, my question to you is how much more of this are we going to continue to have? I recently saw that Floyd actually called out Conor McGregor for another bout also. So what are your thoughts on this? And I mean, do you want to continue to see him have these exhibitions, or
how long will we have them? We'll have them as long as people are willing to pay to see them put on, not necessarily pay to see them, but pay to see them put on. Once it's no longer financially viable for these promoters of these fights to do it, then we won't see it anymore. You talked about a long line going back to Ali. I mean, Jack Johnson and professional boxers throughout the ages have done exhibitions. I feel like when he was on his run, the Sugar Ray Robinson also did exhibitions while he was still fighting professionally. So this is nothing new, but just like those others, it will continue as long as there are people willing to pay to put those on. Once it's no longer an option and the legalized bank robberies are it's not profitable to rob banks legally, then it'll stop, and that can't come soon enough for me.
Okay, I'm not even gonna continue to ask you about it because I can see the shine coming from the top of your head is
What's that got
It's
to do with the
starting to
price of tea in
it's,
China?
it's starting to glisten from even thinking about these exhibition bouts. So let's move
Okay.
on from the exhibition bouts to something that you actually love to talk about. Bellator 286 was actually took place this past weekend. Was considered to be one of the best cards of 2022,
For
but there was a
Bellator, yeah.
lot of hype that a lot of people ended up being disappointed about, including the fans who actually booed Brazilian martial arts legend Patricio Pitbull.
Mhm.
What can you tell us about Bellator 286, and what are your thoughts on the card and how it worked out?
On paper, it was set to be one of the greatest cards that Bellator put on this year. Absolutely. I mean, you got Adam Borgs, who fought his way back up to title contention versus the Bellator GOAT in Patricio Pitbull. You got AJ McKee making his lightweight debut versus Spike Carlisle. You got what would have been, no, it wouldn't have been, but it would have been in consideration for the Voices Marquee matchup for this card in Jeremy Kennedy and Aaron Pico. Actually, AJ is the fight that I really wanted to see, and that fight did not disappoint. That was really the highlight of this card. And then this is all just on the main card, and you open up with Juan Archuleta, former bantamweight champion, taking on Enrique Barzola, fellow Latino in Hispanic Heritage Month. I mean, just absolutely wonderful, wonderful fights all up and down the card. The um the main card really was hit or miss. I mean, literally, you had two fights that were good. The Archuleta Barzola fight, great. AJ McKee, oh man, he did everything he could, with the exception of taking a foreign object. Salute to your professional wrestling. Taking a foreign object and hitting Spike Carlisle in the head with it to stop him. And he just couldn't. He was super duper tough. So those fights were excellent, definitely worthwhile. The longest fight of the card was also the most boring fight of the card. And it's unfortunate that it happened the way it did. One thing, and I wanted to know what Pitbull's thoughts were in jumping on, because it literally, like, at least two of the rounds, he was a human backpack on Adam Borgs, but he wasn't like going for the submission. He was just up there like, what are you doing? It's like, and his thought process, what he said, made all the sense in the world, but just doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth. He was like, if I'm on his back, then he can't do anything. And if I'm keeping him from doing anything, then I win. Yeah, but this is a fight. Do you really win a fight by holding somebody? Or do you just stop the fight from happening? That doesn't sound like you won the fight. Did you control it? Yes. But if my son is upset with me and he comes swinging at me and I grab him and I hold him, do I really win the fight? No, it's not really a fight. I just held him until he decided to stop and went on about his business. And that, I mean, not that Borgs decided to stop and went on about his business, but you got time limits. So he had to stop. That's why everyone was booing. I get it. I can't say I gave my full attention to that fight because there really wasn't anything there to watch. And then Pico and Kennedy threw a punch and threw his arm out of socket. You can see his shoulder bone, protruding and all that. They tried to get it back in, couldn't get it. So that was a letdown. But yeah, it was a mixed bag. The highs were really high and the lows were pretty low.
Yeah, it seems like Pitbull was fully aware that they asked him about it after the fact. He said, people sometimes want to see a street fight like AJ McKee and Spike. He said, that's amazing, but it's a bar brawl. I'm a fighter. I'm a technician. I'm going to take my opponent in the right moment. I'm not going to commit a mistake like that and get tired like a street fight. He said, I'm a professional and I don't care. He said he does not plan on being the guy to listen to everyone because he plans to defend his belt by any means necessary.
Yeah, well, as someone who watched the McKee Carlisle fight, that was not a street fight. And seeing as Scott led off talking about how wonderful it was, yeah, it wasn't a street fight. No bottles were thrown. No foreign objects were used. It was a great contest of martial skills, trained martial artists using their skills against one another, and it was a great display of that. That was just a shot because they were both on the same card and they don't like each other.
Definitely. Well, that's kind of how the cookie crumbles. Most people were, from the feedback I saw, a lot of people were actually very disappointed in the card, but it should be some more great upcoming bouts that actually should come after Bellator 286. I'm sure we'll be hearing about those coming up soon. However, while you may not have gotten the excitement you want from Bellator 286, when we come back, we're going to cover two great fights that you were looking forward to this weekend. This is going to be after we take a quick break and give you some information from our sponsors. Stay tuned.
Hey, everyone that's here, thank you so much. Like and subscribe so that you know when we're live, and drop us something in the comments. Let us know where you're from.
Definitely.
We'll be back.
And welcome back. Now, coming back, Voice, there's a fight that I've been excited about. It's almost an historic fight. I don't really know how to feel about it possibly not happening. Earlier today, the Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. fight was actually put in jeopardy as it was announced that the British Boxing Board of Control said the contest was not in the interest of boxing following Benn's positive drug test. So there's a very big chance that this bout may not happen, which is supposed to take place Saturday at the O2 Arena. Now, one of your favorite people, Eddie Hearn, is actually attempting to obtain an injunction that's going to allow the fight to proceed to happen. Matchroom actually stated that the fight is actually planning to still go ahead since Benn has yet to be banned by authorities. Now, in understanding the bout, you have to understand that this is actually coming from one of the greatest rivalries in British boxing history, as Eubanks Jr. and Eubanks Sr. and Benn's father actually faced off previously in two classic bouts, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, Eubanks actually won the first, and I think there was a decision on the second. This bout is actually scheduled to be a 12-round super welterweight catchweight bout, which is actually something that Chris Eubank Sr. is not a fan of, as it is requiring Eubank Jr. to drop 3 pounds and fight at 157. Now, the funny thing about this is, in the interview, Eubanks Jr. even said that he feels that, along with the issues of his father not wanting to support a fight, for him, this is a lose-lose situation, because he said that he doesn't believe he'll get the credit even if he beats Conor. He stated that if he beats Conor, they're going to say, well, that's what you should have done. And that if he doesn't beat Conor, it's basically going to be, okay, well, basically you're done. Now, one thing to remember is Conor Benn is actually 7 years the junior of Chris Eubanks Jr. So, Voice, I got to ask, with all this happening, I got a couple questions for you. One, do we see this fight happening? Two, is Eubanks Jr. stating the truth in his statement of it being a lose-lose situation? And should we be concerned with him dropping down to 157?
Okay. Now, my mother always said, don't give me three things, because I'm going to remember the first and the last and forget the one in the middle. So know that I'll be coming back to you for a refresher on something at some point during this conversation. One, do I think the fight is going to happen? with the BBC not being on board, I find it hard to believe because this is not the only fight on the card. There are a number of other fights on the card. If they believe that this is not in the best interest of boxing, then they may decide that they won't sanction any of the fights on the card.
Mm.
However, each of these fighters, the people squaring off in the main event, were set to make $1 million each, or 7 figures, I should say, each. How many millions? I don't know, but they were both set to make a lot of money, and money talks. So could I see it happening? I mean, let's not forget that Tyson Fury, he retired the first time because of a failed drug test. And that was in his title fight with Vladimir Klitschko, or Vitaly, whichever one of the Klitschkos he fought. And that was done by the BBC. And I want to say the BBC kind of knew about it beforehand, which is why them saying that they don't think it's in the best interest of boxing is big. That might be a play on their end to get more money. So, and again, you know, money talks. So, because all this came out on the 23rd, or they got the test back on the 23rd. Not only that, Benn dropped out of VADA a while ago. That's who was doing the testing, the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association. He dropped out of it, and then now he pops positive. I wonder why. So do I think it'll happen? I think if enough palms agrees that it'll happen. Now, your second question was what?
Is this really a loss situation for Chris Eubank Jr.?
No, I already said he's getting 7 figures. So there's no, even if it is a loss, that's an acceptable loss. That is a highly acceptable loss. They're both probably getting more money for this fight than anything that they've ever done. So from that perspective, even if he's washed up, or I should say, even if he's done to be done and get the most money that you ever made in your last fight, that's the way to go out. So no, I don't believe it's a loss. Now, if he loses, would that not look good? Yeah. But with what his dad said, which is what I think the last question was,
Right.
with what his dad said about him coming down in weight, you have that to say, hey, look, I came down lower than, I fought in, quite some time. And that weight cut impacted my performance. You got out there. So no, it's not a loss from from that perspective though. I've seen stuff online with Eubank Jr. walking down the street with a bucket of chicken. So if he's not able to make the weight, or if there is a problem, that's his problem. He's the one that's doing all this tomfoolery. And should he win? Yeah, he should win. He is the naturally bigger and stronger person. And is he older? Yes, he is. But really, around that 33-year mark is when you hit your physical prime. That's like the top of your physical prime. So, should he win? Yes, he should. And if he loses, he's got a built-in excuse. It's actually a win-win, as DJ Khaled would say.
It's very true. Now it is also worth mentioning to keep in mind there are precedents where promoters have turned to other sanctioning bodies after the fighters were failed to secure the backing from the BBB of C. I think the most recent was 2012. It was David Hyde and Derek Chisora, which they fought in London under the jurisdiction of the Luxembourg Boxing Federation because neither heavyweight held a British license. So it's still possible, but the way Eddie Hearn is actually speaking is that this is still going to happen. He said they have not tested the B sample. So I guess we'll just kind of see what's going to happen. Like I said, we have until Saturday, so anything is possible until then.
That it is.
Well, one fight that is scheduled to take place this Saturday, there's going to be Fundora is going to be taking on Ocampo for the WBC Interim World Super Welterweight title. That's going to be live from the Home Depot Center in Carson, California. Now, Fundora is actually seeking a world title opportunity against Jamel Charlo. However, the issue is that Charlo only takes one bout per year. So Fundora said that he's hoping to stay fresh with difficult fights by taking this bout. Charlo's next fight is actually scheduled to take place in 2023 against, is it Tim Tszyu? So that's going to be Jamel's only fight in 2023. So Fundora actually stated he's going to continue to take these bouts and grow, hopefully until the fight with Charlo in 2024. So, Voice, all this waiting, is this the best thing that Fundora can do right now, or should he be having his eyes on other big fights also?
This is the best he can do because there's really no other fight that can be made that is big. Outside of the things that he's doing, he has to go out and like beat former champions. That's what he needs to do. And or I should say those are only big fights that are left because Charlo is undisputed. He holds all 4 belts. So, you know, I mean, unless he wants to add the IBO to his to his resume of belts, there's nothing really out there for him to do. And he's saying he's waiting because he only takes one fight a year. Well, he's fighting for the and really defending his WBC interim championship. WBC sounds a lot like another boxing something. Yeah, the PBC, which promotes both Fundora as well as Charlo. Until it makes financial sense for them to fight, they're not going to fight. As long as Charlo can keep getting big fights and not fight Fundora, that's what's going to happen.
I don't see, the thing about it is everyone is dismissing this fight. I don't see this as a bad fight. Carlos Ocampo only has one loss, and that was to Errol Spence Jr.
Yeah, so, and not only is that his only loss, he has gone on like a 12-fight win streak, knocking out 9 of the people, and he lost to Charlo back in 2018. So that means this man was fighting during the pandemic, or at least during the time frame of the pandemic, and found a way to fight on average 4 times a year. He was like a gangbanger. He was active. He was outside for real, trying to get these fights in. So yeah, he is a you know, a really, really good test for Fundora, and just the kind of fight that Fundora should be fighting. I know what he wants, but what you want and what you get are often 2 totally different things.
I don't know. It seems like he's very dismissive about it. Newsweek actually asked him his main concern about this fight. He said his only concern is maintaining focus and not overlooking him. He stated that he's, you know, Ocampo, since his loss to Spence, that he's hungrier and more disciplined, but that he allowed his dad to watch the film and he just listens and he stayed away from it. That doesn't sound like somebody who's completely focused on the fight at hand.
There are a lot of fighters that don't watch film.
But so this is a fighter who's coming in with 1 loss, and your only concern is maintaining focus as to not overlook somebody.
That's what Ocampo said.
No, that's what Fundora said.
Yeah, well, he's right in saying that he needs to maintain focus and not overlook, because if you're overlooking Ocampo, that's not good, because Ocampo is not someone who should be overlooked. You know, he's got a very solid record, you know, and he's fought a number of people. Now, I heard him, being Fundora, say recently that the only thing he learned in his last fight was that he is who he thought he was, and that he's an elite fighter. And I can understand how he may think that. I mean, he beat Erickson Lubin in his last fight, and the only person to have beat Erickson Lubin was Charlo. So I can see how he, will feel that way, because I mean, Lubin has dispatched the likes of Jason Rosario, Terrell Gausha, Ishe Smith, and the like. So yeah, he took Sergio Garcia's. Oh, now granted, Sergio was brought along fairly favorably, but he still beat 33 people. Whether they were all Spanish room keepers or not, you still beat 33 people. And he beat Jorge Cota as well, knocked Cota out. He also stopped Lubin. As a matter of fact, in his past 5 fights, he stopped all but one of them. So, should he feel like he's elite? Yeah, he because he's got some things that would say he may be elite, but until he gets in there with the top of the top, we won't be able to say that. The only thing he can do at this point is keep fighting the best fights that he can, and Ocampo is a good fight and a good test for him.
Okay, I understand. I think maybe I'm just kind of interpreting it a little bit differently, only because it just seemed like it was completely dismissive. But you were absolutely right. He definitely said he expects for it to be an exciting fight, so we're definitely looking for it to be an exciting fight. Also, that's definitely going to round out your weekend of boxing. And
Weekend
just
of fights.
fights in general. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a great fight. Hopefully the Benn and Eubank's fight does take place. I feel like that's something that we should definitely see. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Sebastian's sister Gabrielle is fighting this weekend also. So I think she might be on the undercard of that, correct?
This is news to me.
Yeah, so because I know you say he plans on watching his sister fight before that, so definitely looking forward to that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is literally the end. You've seen me be perfect all show, and I just want you all to remember this. The date is October 5th, 2022. You saw the best of the best, the man, the myth, the legend. You saw him fumble at the beginning, and I picked it up and I returned the punt like DeAndre. So we want to thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of the main card. Be sure to tune in with us every Tuesday, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know today is Wednesday, okay, but listen, we want to come.
Look, don't put that on me too. That's because
I'm
I
not gonna
messed
do that.
up. I'll put it on me.
I'm not gonna do that. We wanted to come to you on a special day when our skin was even more luxurious, and the voice can. I don't know what voice did, because I was Michael Jordan this episode, so I'm gonna take that. We hope that you enjoying the show. If you get it, please make sure that you like, subscribe, share with your people. If you're not familiar with the MTMV Sports Podcast family, we have a number of amazing shows for you to tune into. So make sure that you like and subscribe that. Also, make sure you get you a pair of Ozels. Come on now.
Yeah,
we
I'm
coming.
Nightlives.
We coming. You know what I mean? We all over. My skin is luxurious. It's been a wonderful show. Thank you for tuning in. Voice, take us out. Give us your final thoughts, sir.
Hey, looking forward to the fights this week. Looking forward to everything to come for the rest of October. And until next time, fight the good fight.